Hello everybody, how are you all doing on this wonderful Friday? So, something that has been running through my mind as of recently. How the hell is Trump a dictator when, God, it's cold in here. When Biden is doing the exact thing that apparently made Trump a dictator. Biden was once said, and many of us already know that he's a hypocrite, but he's once said that you cannot govern by pen and paper. In other words, you can't just sign executive orders constantly and run the government. Well, 6 days into office, and he already has over 30 executive orders signed. Over 30. And I'm not saying that Trump didn't sign a lot of executive orders, and he did. He signed almost as much in his 4 years as Obama and Baby Bush did in their 8 years. So he was almost about double them. But currently, the person to hold the most amount of executive orders signed at a little over 1,000 executive orders, which makes sense due to how long they were president for, and that was Franklin Delano Roosevelt. FDR had a little over 1,000 executive orders signed in his trying to remember, he's in over 12 years in office. He was elected to his 4th term and died shortly after he was inaugurated for that term, so I want to say somewhere around that mark of 12 years or so. I didn't look this up before I started talking. Most of these are unscripted. Pretty much all of them are unscripted. But FDR signed a little over 1,000 executive orders in his 12, 13 years of presidency, which still boils it down to the most per term than any other president. But as of I'm saying is that at 30 executive orders in his 6 days in office puts him at well surpassing FDR in his single term. That's absolutely ridiculous. I think that actually puts him at close to surpassing it in his first year in office, if he makes it that long. But it's just absolutely ridiculous to think that I'm not one of the executive orders. I hate them. Trump shouldn't sign that many. Biden shouldn't have this many signed. And it's just mind-blowing. We have the legislative branch to do it. If you want something done, take it to the legislative branch. Don't whip out your pen and paper to have this done for you because you're tired of waiting. And there's certain things that the president can't sign executive orders for. And I'm just not a fan of it. I'm not one. It makes them look like dictators, and it's just totally not okay at all. We need to have a better system in place, because this is going too far. A lot of Biden's executive orders at this point are overturning Trump policies. And he signed like 9 of them in his first day, as I stated in a previous video. And Trump didn't even sign one until the very next day that he was in office. And I actually made a comment on Facebook. Someone posted a meme about Biden ruining our country in his first week in office, and that he should do it gradually. And I made a comment saying that he did it in his first 24 hours. And then someone else commented on my comment and said that, do you not see the mess that the previous president left for him? And I don't start fights on the internet. I make a comment, I make and I make my point noticed, so I didn't come back with anything. But that's not entirely my point. And Trump didn't even do all that much in his first 24 hours in terms of overturning Obama policies and stuff. He talked about overturning them, but he actually did do a lot of things by executive order for that, but he did it gradually. He didn't do it overnight. And if you're trying to bring unity, don't go and just change everything your predecessor did, that the American people voted in there, and still Trump still got the most amount of re-election votes of any president in history and didn't even win. So that tells you how many people are on Trump's side. Yes, more people were on Biden's side at the time. But if you're trying to bring people together, you don't just go and piss off half the country. And that was the point I was trying to make at that. I didn't really state that, but I made my point known. But apparently, to everyone, Trump ruined the country. Trump didn't bring on Corona, and before Corona, Trump actually did a lot of decent things. He boomed the economy. He created jobs, fulfilled the promise that the United States made years ago to Israel about putting the embassy there. He did a lot of good things and held to his word and didn't actually lie much. He had something on his mind, he said it. Whether that was through a tweet, press conference, whatever it was, he had something on his mind, he said it. And while a lot of people don't like his personality, it worked. And it worked for him. He got elected. He did what he said he was going to do. Made his points known. Didn't beat around the bush. And yet, he's the bad guy. He's the first president that I've ever really studied who actually did what he was going to say, unlike Joe. A couple of the things he said he was going to do, he did do. But there's also quite a bit that he said he wasn't going to do, and has done. So, that's currently where I stand on this, and I don't think Trump was a dictator. I don't think Trump was a dictator by any margins. As of right now, it looks more like Joe is ruling with a pen and paper, compared to Trump and compared to any president in history. Oldest guy to ever get elected. And okay, one final note before I actually get going. But the left complains that old white men are the ones constantly running this country. And you know what they do? They elect an old white guy. Their party says old white men are the ones constantly running this country and we need change. They nominate an old white guy. So if you're talking about race and identity politics and all that other fun super jumbo mumbo jumbo, Biden is the guy that they constantly say that shouldn't be running this country anymore and we need change. So they play identity politics. The old white men choose people of different races and genders and identities to get their point across, but they don't elect those people. Is the problem. They just select them. And Trump actually got far more of the minority vote than Joe Biden. He got far much more of the minority vote. But the problem is, and I think this is where Trump kind of failed, is that he lost the educated women's vote. Because he actually had in 2016 the educated women, the women with college degrees and stuff like that. He got those votes over Hillary Clinton. But in 2020, he did not. And I think that's kind of where he failed. And but he did get a lot much more of the minority vote. He held pretty much every demographic and improved his minority vote, but only lost to Biden due to the educated women. And people are on the Republican side are saying that there was fraud there. And I do agree that there was fraud to some extent. I don't really know to what extent, and I don't really know if it would have changed the outcome of the election. But I do agree that there was some fraud there that definitely helped Biden. But I don't really think he won due to the fraud. I do think that there should have been, that the Supreme Court should have taken the fraud a little bit more seriously, because fraud in any election is not a good one. But we will have to see, and we'll have to kind of see how things play out from here. And I don't think Trump's a dictator. Don't really think Biden's a dictator. I'm just trying to point out the hypocrisy of the left and the Democrats, because they're calling Trump like Emperor Trump and things of that nature, and that is just totally untrue and kind of just wrong. Just because you don't like the guy does not make him an emperor. And the guy that you guys are claiming to be an emperor, I don't know where I was going with that point. Sorry. But Biden's currently on pace at most executive orders of any president in history, and I just find that to be wrong. And I think Trump had too much. I think Obama had too much. I think Bush had too much. having a few executive orders from time to time is okay, but to constantly do things to get your point across and stuff is just, I don't think. I just don't think that is right. So, that is my talking point. You guys can leave your thoughts in the comments below. You can point out if I was wrong or not. But, yeah. So, have a wonderful day, guys, and love you.